Okay, well, the Eagles are no longer undefeated. After trying just about every way to lose against the Jets, Jalen Hurts had his worst game with some really questionable decision-making, even getting called out afterward by Jets head coach Robert Saleh. A.J. Brown responded to the critics, but what was up with the play calling, multiple turnovers, and uncharacteristic drops? Plus, the injuries have more than piled up. So let's break it down. But first, let's run it. What's up, guys? Okay, I'm just gonna say it. Jalen Hurts is not him. It's time to give Mariota a shot. This team sucks, and we're a borderline playoff team at best. Poop mouth. Poop out of your mouth. Okay, relax. I don't actually believe any of those things, yet those are the types of overreactions I saw from fans after the game. Realistically, I just think it's the Eagles haven't lost a regular season game with Jalen in so long that the entire fan base is experiencing a collective psychosis. Although I can't totally fault you, because coming in, the Birds hadn't ever lost to the Jets with a 12-0 record all time, and Jalen had won 11 straight road games, looking to become only the third quarterback in NFL history with 12 or more consecutive away wins. Of course, maybe we should have known there would be trouble when Philly announced their inactives and Sidney Brown was out, meaning we literally didn't have an official backup safety. But who needs a backup? It's not like we were playing on a field known to cause injuries. Yeah, well, you know how that turned out. However, it started out promising with the Philly D getting a stop, giving the ball to Jalen, who found A.J. Brown for 10 yards on third down, and then again on the next set of downs made an insane throw with defenders draped all over him as A.J. once again helped the Birds convert, leaving so many fans on Twitter to say, Jalen Hurts is him. But the Eagles continued to move the ball downfield until a seemingly inconsequential 2-yard game from DeAndre Swift wound up leaving right tackle Lane Johnson on the ground injured. And it's also where we could have guessed we might be in trouble since, like Jeff Kerr pointed out, the Eagles are 13-23 in games Lane Johnson doesn't start. Fortunately, the report is that Pave the Lane suffered a lateral ankle sprain and it isn't considered long-term, with a chance to not even miss a game. Because let's face it, the Eagles are not the same team without number 65. Yeah, I know that's obvious. I don't know, maybe I had too much faith in Jack Driscoll taking over because it didn't seem like as big of a deal early on, with Brian Johnson in his bag calling some of the niftiest plays we've seen this season on a dual RB dump-off to Boston Scott, and then later lining up Dallas Goedert in the backfield on a screen play to let him take advantage of the yards after catch. Yet then we reached the red zone and started to look incredibly unimaginative.
But fool me twice, strike three.
I mean, they keep saying it's going to get better. But hey, despite it not looking ideal, Jalen was able to punch it in for 6 on what initially looked like he was stopped short, capping off a 19-play, 91-yard drive that lasted nearly 10 minutes, which was, by the way, their longest scoring drive since 2018. Well, whatever works, I guess. So after one quarter, the Eagles led 7-0, but Zach Wilson looked a little better on the Jets' second drive, connecting with receiver Garrett Wilson multiple times to move the chains, and also used his legs to beat Nakobe Dean, who had returned from injury, for 9 yards. Before the Philly defense stiffened, holding the Jets to 3 points on a Greg Zuerlein just barely good field goal, bringing Hurts and the offense back out where it looked like New York wasn't going to have the answer, with Jalen continually finding A.J. Brown to move the sticks until a long third down attempt to Dallas Goedert turned into a strange interception recovered by Quinnen Williams, and giving the ball back to the Jets in great field position, which, looking back at this play, just makes it worse because with the blocking out in front, if Goedert could have held on there's no doubt in my mind he's getting well into the red zone, or quite possibly even scoring there. But I guess it doesn't matter at this point. Thankfully, Hassan Reddick came up big when the D-line pressured Wilson and Haas cleaned up for the sack, eventually forcing a turnover on downs, where Jalen and the offense returned the favor as number 1 found number 11 on what appeared to be a 10 to 12 yard gain. Except this is Swole Batman in Gotham we're talking about, as he broke a couple tackles to set up an Eagles 1st and goal from the 3-yard line, followed by an Agent Zero angle route bouncing off tacklers and finding pay dirt to go up 14-3. Alright, we were sitting pretty at this point. Unfortunately, as we all know, it was just about all downhill from here, with cornerback Eli Ricks injuring his knee when he hyperextended it, running into Nicholas Morrow and then being ruled out for the game. As the Jets continued to march down the field via the chunk play variety through the air and on the ground, until they reached the Philly red zone, with the guys showing a bend but don't break approach when BG and Jordan Davis split a sack on Zach Wilson on a 3rd and long, which subsequently sent Wilson to the medical tent because, like one observer noted, pretty sure I would die if Jordan Davis tackled me. Yeah, I think I would too. Speaking of dying, after a Jets field goal made it 14-6, the Birds' chances of scoring before the half died whenever DeAndre Swift had the ball punched out by Jets linebacker CJ Mosley as New York took over at midfield. Yet, once again, Desai's group did well to only give up 3 points, keeping the Philly lead intact at 14-9 at the half. Okay, so obviously not the best first half of football, and it really felt like we missed several opportunities. However, the squad came out firing with a tight end screen and run to Goedert for a 1st down, followed by a rare run for Swift as he took advantage of the blocking on the left side to pick up up 10. And then another conversion to Dallas had the ball into Jets territory as a pre-snap penalty made it 1st and 15, but no matter since Jalen dropped back to pass, bought some time, and found Nelson Agholor. Wait, Smitty dropped that? Sorry, I could have sworn that was Agholor with how bad of a drop that was. I mean, since when does DeVonta Smith drop those? Well, it actually turns out that was his second drop of the day, with another one coming earlier in the second quarter. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's the lack of sleep being a new parent, which I can definitely sympathize with him there. Either way, at least he didn't make excuses after the game and said, I just dropped the ball and gotta execute better, which was just about everyone, quite honestly, since the next play showed why Jack Driscoll clearly isn't it, allowing a sack and leading to a Philly punt, before a really impressive grab from Jets wide receiver Garrett Wilson over cornerback Josh Jobe to put the Jets in great field position, followed by adding insult to injury when Wilson found Wilson again on what would have been deep inside Bird's territory, except for this illegal blindside block by Jets wide receiver Allen Lazard on safety Reed Blankenship that ended up sending the Ghost to the locker room with a rib injury before being ruled out for the game. To no surprise, head coach Nick Sirianni didn't care for it at all, yelling at least one Jets player, presumably Lazard, after the play. The best part to all of this, like Outside the Bird said, is, well, it's a great thing the Birds literally don't have a backup safety active for this game.
Let's go fire somebody.
Well, can't blame you if you feel that way. Fortunately, rookie undrafted free agent Mekhi Garner was serviceable enough as the defense held firm to give the ball back to the offense. Unfortunately, that put Philly back up against their end zone, yet amazingly, Hurts was able to avoid a sack and find Kenny Gainwell on what should have been a first down. But he dropped it. So the ball was punted back to New York, who finally converted their first third down attempt of the game in the third quarter, mind you. Oh yeah, and then converted another one as it looked like they'd take the lead. However, Desai's defense came to the rescue yet another time when Hassan Reddick stayed home on play action, getting a monster sack and limiting the Jets to 3 and miraculously maintaining the 14-12 lead. Alright, up to this point, Hurts had played fairly well, where he flashed his ability to evade pressure and buy time before finding Smitty for 22 yards at the end of the third, and then using his legs on a QB draw to convert a third down, where he looked to take a deep shot on the next play, yet Jermaine Johnson smoked Driscoll while Jalen was hit as he threw, resulting in his second interception of the day, and no doubt being upset at his O-line.
What the hell is wrong with you people?
I mean, I'd be asking the same questions too. Like Tim McManus pointed out, Jalen Hurts was pressured on a season-high 40% of his dropbacks, despite being blitzed on a season-low 16% of his dropbacks. Hurts was pressured 20 times, which was his most in his last 36 games, including playoffs. Alright, without a doubt, the O-line, specifically Driscoll, deserves a lot of the blame, but there's several other factors to consider. For example, Jalen had 3.4 seconds time to throw, ranking as the highest in the league in Week 6. Although I think you could blame a significant amount of that on play calls taking too long to develop or just having QB1 uncomfortable. And then, of course, as we all saw, Hurts was clearly scarred from Jack Driscoll's presence since, like Anthony shared, he's now running out of clean pockets. Amazingly, Josh Sweat and the defense answered the call once again, leading to a punt with the size unit having only allowed 3 points off turnovers up to this point in the game. But come on, there's only so many times that he can keep doing that.
Is there a limit?
Yeah, there definitely is. To his credit, Sirianni did say that he'd take the blame for the play call in that situation that asked Hurts to hold on to it longer. Although then Hurts seemed determined to test it, making a very dangerous throw to Swift that was luckily dropped by Quincy Williams. Otherwise, it might have been 6 the other way. However, Jalen made up for it on the next play, finding AJ for 36 yards on a deep dime placed only where the all-pro receiver could get it as Brown came up with a ridiculous catch. And then Kenny G got a touch for a first down around the corner before the offense stalled again with Jalen getting sacked. With this dude once again resurfacing, since it seems pretty evident BJ has no idea what he's doing, or at least in the red zone. Yet the biggest surprise of the game for me was Jake Elliott missing the 37-yard attempt. Again, I realize no one's perfect, but seeing how clutch and accurate Jake Elliott's been, that seemed like a foregone conclusion that we would get the 3 points. But with the miss, the Jets tried to take advantage, getting their first down until Reddick proved neither team's right tackle would have a good day, bringing down Zach Wilson along with Milton Williams to give the ball back to the offense. Now sure, there weren't a lot of positives from the game, but if you're looking for a silver lining, at least Reddick's proven to be unstoppable since getting the thumb cast removed, as the 28-year-old now has 5.5 sacks in 3 games without the cast, for a total of 6.5 sacks on the season. I know, that doesn't make me feel much better either, because we know what happened next, with the Eagles moving the ball for a couple first downs early, and Hurts delivering a money ball to Goddard for a massive third down conversion on 3rd and 7, which by the way was a pretty clear and obvious false start on number 1 that didn't get called, but I don't mind. What I did mind was on the next third down play. Personally, I was okay being aggressive to try to convert and not run it, except I have no explanation for what Jalen's looking at, as he threw an interception, giving the ball back to the Jets with an easy route to score. Look, I can understand the logic from some saying that the offense was off all day, so the Birds should have just run the ball and punted to ask the defense to get a final stop on Zach Wilson. However, when your quarterback is supposed to be elite, you don't see other teams taking the ball out of their quarterback's hands, which is why Sirianni defended that decision afterward.
I don't think in that particular case we thought running it was the right thing. Then we had a third down earlier in that drive that we converted on in similar circumstances. We're going to trust our guys to make plays. I think AJ had a pretty good game, and we're going to trust our guys to make plays in that particular case. And, looking at it, again, we'll have to put them in better spots to succeed, and then we got to execute.
All right, but it's blatantly obvious that wasn't an elite throw or elite decision-making. And for the life of me, I don't know what Jalen was hoping to accomplish here. The defense was clearly daring him to make that throw.
I'm not going to lie to you, Don. People down here are starting to murmur that you don't have the balls to do it.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I literally have no idea. This was just one of those boneheaded decisions we all can make from time to time, leading to Jets head coach Robert Saleh even calling out Jalen's play after the game.
Through these first 6 weeks, we've played a gauntlet of quarterbacks. And I know we haven't gotten all wins, but we've embarrassed all of them. And just really, really proud of the defense and its resolve. Thought Brick and the staff had an excellent game plan. Down 3 corners, 4 of our 6 corners.
Sure, you know what? It was embarrassing toward the end. Although Saleh also piped off while ending his presser saying, Philly ain't 12-0 no more. I mean, I don't have much of a comeback to that. However, I'd urge you not to lose your head like some of the tweets saying, the team doesn't stand a chance against Miami, or this team's now a border playoff team, or my personal favorite overreaction is, it's Mariota time in Philly. Come on, we're better than that. It's just one game. And A.J. Brown has a response to the critics.
He's going to respond. He's going to go to work, he's going to do his thing. He's going to respond, for sure. He's a strong individual, man. He's going to bounce back regardless, man. This is small compared to what he done faced in his life, So, I'm not going to speak for him, but I know how he's going to shake back. So,
look, I'm with AJ because, like Brandon Lee Gouton pointed out, QB1 was historically bad. Since the Eagles are now 13-2 as road favorites in the Nick Sirianni era, the 2 losses both happened at MetLife Stadium, 2021 against Joe Judge and 2023 against Zach Wilson. Eagles turned the ball over 4 times in both games, Jalen Hurts with 3 picks each time. Plus, I don't think it's any secret that the Jets embarrassed Josh Allen in Week 1 and also made Patrick Mahomes struggle. As Jeff Kerr shared, Hurts, Allen, and Mahomes against the Jets this season has only allowed 64% completion, 719 yards, 3 touchdowns while getting 8 interceptions.
That's not an excuse. It's never an excuse.
Okay, you're right. I'm just trying to make myself feel better. Because Jalen's abysmal turnover gave the Jets the ball back, yet they offered some false hope by shockingly scoring too quickly to go up 20-14. But after Jalen and the offense only gained 2 yards through the first 3 plays, they decided for some reason the best option was take a deep shot into double coverage on a throw that stood no chance. Although on second look, Jalen might have had Smitty on a post, but either way, I don't like the play call. So congrats to the Jets. They won, they took advantage, and honestly, I wasn't really too worried about them before the game. Yet, like this past weekend proved, you can't take any team for granted, with the 49ers losing to the Stains on a last-second field goal miss by Jake Moody, and the Buffalo Bills coming 1 yard away from getting upset by the 15-point underdog New York Football Giants. The good news is that we're still tied for first in the NFC, but as we all know, the schedule's about to get a whole lot tougher. But looking at it glass half full, maybe this is a good thing.
It's a tough one, for sure, but it's an opportunity for us to grow. And these things and these moments build a ton of character. And so if you go into it and handle it the right way, you could turn that negative situation into a positive. And that's what we plan to do. And that takes a ton of hard work. That takes a ton of discipline and diligence and focus, and understand that Rome wasn't built overnight. It's a process, and we're going to trust in that process for us as a team.
Oh, it's hard to hear, but there's no reason not to give this group the benefit of the doubt. We remember what happened after they surprisingly lost to Washington last season, and there's a reason this team hasn't lost back-to-back games in 2 years, which is why the captain spoke to the team after the game, with Brown offering a glimpse into what was shared.
A lot of self-reflecting, a lot of leadership, just stepping up and talking to each other. Like I said earlier, I think that's most important. Even better than Nick getting up there and talking, because we the ones out there going to war. We the ones out there going to battle each and every play, and we depended on each other. So I think that was the vibe in here. We were just holding each other accountable, and like I said, we're gonna grow from it. but I'm gonna keep what was said inside the locker room.
All right, I can appreciate the taking accountability because sure, the players didn't play up to the standard and they'll be better, although it can still be true that we have red flags. Personally, the biggest initial concern are the injuries. Like I mentioned earlier, Lane Johnson hopefully doesn't miss any time, but if he has to, what will the Birds do at right tackle? Plus, Justin Evans is already on IR, Sidney Brown's hamstring appears to be worse than initially thought, and it sounds like Reed Blankenship could miss multiple weeks, which is why I'm with Evan Hearn, who said, I think Howie makes a big move this week. Last year's first loss was a wake-up call that we needed to shore up the run D. He went out and got Sue and Joseph to fill that need. Eagles could definitely use O-line help as well as a new safety. Trade for Chinn and sign an O-lineman. Yeah, honestly, at this point, I'd be shocked if a deal doesn't get done this week. After all, we're also waiting to see the status of cornerback Eli Ricks' knee, nickel corner Bradley Roby, who went out with an injury, not to mention Darius Saleh, who's been dealing with a knee injury as well. But as we know, that's not the only area of concern though, because play calling was certainly less than optimal, with Seth Joyner summing it up best.
I'm like, oh, where does the team rank? Run the pass, okay? And he was like, this is a game where, the Eagles are going to feel like they can go out and throw the football and win the football game. And I said, what? Oh, so you telling me they're going to throw it 50 times today? Jalen Hurts threw the ball 50 times today. Now, it's not going to look like it says 45 on the sheet, but when you look at those plays where he took off and he scrambled, he had over 50 passing attempts. That, in my opinion, is criminal. You're the #1 rushing team in the National Football League, and you're playing against a defense that's ranked 29th against the run. 140. And you come out and you throw the ball 50 damn times? Come on, man.
I don't know. I would have loved to see a little more commitment to the running game. At the same time, though, as DeBirds points out, the loss of Cam Jurgens has crippled the Eagles' rushing attack through 2.5 games. When Jurgens is on the field, Eagles running backs have gained 477 yards on 88 carries. When Jurgens is out, Eagles running backs have gained just 160 yards on 50 carries. Again, I think it's way too early to hit the abort button on this unit, but I'd say the most glaring concerns in order to me are injuries, then play calling, then turnovers, and lastly, Jalen. Anyway, let me know how you guys feel about all this in the comments. The good news is we've got a home game on Sunday Night Football coming up, although I can understand a little concern taking on Miami, but we did officially open up as 2.5-point favorites for what that's worth.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yes, there's definitely a chance, but would love to know what you guys feel about the first loss on the season. What are your main takeaways, the positives and the negatives, and what am I not considering? Come on, have some faith. They'll bounce back. This has been the Philly Special.